Hello, everyone. Welcome to Miami Beach Urban Studios. My name is Colette Mello, and I'm in conversation today with multidisciplinary artist Carrington Ware. Thank you all for joining us this evening. FIU, Miami Beach Urban Studios, known as MBUS, is an incubator for communication, architectures, and the arts. I'd like to thank Miami Beach Department of Tourism and Office of Cultural Affairs for sponsoring these art talks. Carrington Ware is a South Florida artist who works in textiles, digital illustration, and experimental video and sound. Carrington received her BFA in graphic design from Valdosta State University and her MFA from Florida International University. She was a FIU Radcliffe Fellow and a Miami Beach Urban Studios Leads cohort. Carrington has exhibited here at Miami Beach Urban Studios and the Bakery Gallery in Atlanta, and is currently preparing for the Zoomed Out exhibition that opens this Saturday, and she will be part of the 2020 Florida Biennial that opens this Friday. She just finished the Chautauqua residency. Her work explores narratives of female Black identity and stereotypes. Before I hand it over to Carrington, I'd like to take this opportunity to remind everyone, if you have any questions or comments, to make them in the chat function, and I will try to get to them throughout our conversation. Hi, Carrington. Thank you for joining us this evening. I look forward to learning more about your creative process.
Hi, thank you for having me. Colette did an amazing job at introducing me, so that I'm just gonna jump right into it. So I'm going to talk about my current work and projects, and starting with the recent work that is going to be at the 2020 Florida Biennial is Reimagine Memories, something that was supposed to be for my MFA show, but due to COVID, that didn't happen. So I'm very happy that it does have a place. So I'm not going to show the videos. The videos are on my website, and towards the end of the talk, I will have the links, which either I will post or Raymond will post, but I'm going to talk about what this project is. So when I started Reimagine Memories, I wanted to kind of commemorate the stories that my mom and dad always used to tell me growing up. So, and which is why it's called Reimagine Memories. It's kind of my memories of their storytelling and all the things that they used to tell me that they used to do when they were children. So I decided to make a film and record their voices and use that voices over the appropriated film that I found from YouTube and other different sources. Now, when I was making this, Alpesh and I talked a lot about fair use. We talked about if it's okay to use these images, what it means to use these images in a work, and how that affects the people in the video and their agency. And a lot of these things I don't have questions to, or not questions, but answers to yet. So I'm still trying to figure that out. But for this film, I kind of wanted to use video footage that emulated, you know, what my parents did or what life was like when they were children. So I had to find videos between 1950 or in the 1950s when they were born, between the 1980s when they were growing up. So that is how this film came into fruition. I found a lot of it on YouTube. It was really fun and really difficult to make. But I decided that I wanted to display it on a tin roof because that's the first opening scene of the video. You see a house with this rusty tin roof. I had a time with this tin roof because I wanted it to rust. I left it outside, I sanded it, I sprayed it with vinegar, I did a lot of things, and what you see to the right is mostly what happened with this roofing.
So I like that you did that with, and did you just find that or did you go out and buy that?
No, I went out and bought it.
Okay.
And I remember specifically asking, I was like, I need something that rusts. They told me this was it, and it doesn't. So um, I plan to leave it out after, like, if I show it again, I want it to rust more. So I think that would be an interesting kind of progression of the steel panels. Um, if in different exhibitions it rusts more and more. So I'm for now, it's okay. It's not exactly what I wanted, but I think over time it will be, which is interesting to me.
So I like that. So for some of you who don't know Alpesh Patel, he's the thesis 2 professor for the MFA program. Is that correct? I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. So I like that you all had that discussion about appropriation because a lot of your work is about appropriation. And we know that a lot of artists, some have been sued about that, and then some have not. And it depends on how much you change the artwork,
Yes.
right?
So when I was finding it, I was worried about that. But a lot of the videos are from the same place, Kino Library.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to them for whatever reason. They don't really reach out, which they don't really reach out unless you're like a bigger company, which I feel is kind of problematic because you own and have these images and videos of Black bodies and people might want to use them, but unless you have enough money, you can't obtain them. So some of them I tried to leave the like Kino Library logo up to show that it's theirs, not using all of the footage, just using clips of it. That way it falls into the fair use factor of, not, just taking it and using it as is, manipulating it, and all of those sorts of things. So those are things that I have to consider. And on top of that, it's like, I made another work that could possibly be used for somebody else's project. And it's one of those things, like, sometimes as an artist, you don't want somebody else to use your work, but I just feel like that's only fair. If I'm using someone else's images, I feel like maybe perhaps they should be able to use mine,
I
depending on how
like
much
that
they're
you're saying
circulating.
that you've already considered that somebody could take your work and appropriate it, something that you've appropriated.
Yes.
That's very interesting. Yeah. And you're okay with that.
Yes, I feel like I have to be. I was looking at an interview with Arthur Jaffa, and he was saying, like, at first, like, I don't want anybody taking my work, but then he's like, but I took somebody else's work or images or videos. He was like, so I feel like that's unfair. So to be fair, I would have to let someone use my work as well.
Interesting. Nice. And I'm glad that Arthur Jaffa said that as well. Yeah. Because he does do a lot of appropriation. Yeah. And your work reminds me of him a lot. So does he inspire you?
He is one of my inspirations. He has a little more leeway than I do because, he is known in the celebrity realm of things. Just people were like upset because he got to use Ultralight Beam, Kanye West song, but I was like, you have to understand, he's probably friends or at least knows how to contact or has accessibility to Kanye. So I can't do things like that, but he can because he has
Right.
the access.
Right. Right.
Or I could, but I have to wait until somebody flags it or takes it down.
Right. Nice.
So continuing with Reimagine Memories, the picture on the left is my mom and dad, whose voices that you can hear in the video. I wanted them to kind of just tell their own story, just sit in front of the recorder and just talk a little bit. And then to the right was one of the Kino, well, actually it wasn't a Kino Library footage, but it didn't really have any connection to it because I'm treating these images and videos as if they were like my parents' memories or pieces of their life, which everyone watching it thought it was them. And I was like, no, I have to mention that I don't know these people at all. I'm just using their videos to kind of go along with the story that my parents were telling. And once again, it goes back to agency, because it's like, who are these people? What were their lives like? So the only thing that I could figure out from these people were that this particular film was purchased at a flea market, and it's entitled Mother Mills Family Leaving New York, and is sourced from YouTube. And even though it was sourced from YouTube, I had to find that out randomly on Instagram, because there's a Black Archives, and they happen to have this same picture. And I was just like, oh, what is this? And they had a little bit more information on it. So I thought that was pretty interesting, because even though I'm talking about my family, I'm still finding out about the families that I'm using in my own video that I appropriated.
So is that pretty standard that you do that research on images that you appropriate?
Yeah, so like the first video that I made, which I'll talk about later, because okay, it's in the PowerPoint, but at first I was just like, oh, nostalgia. I just want to talk about my memories. And I wasn't thinking about the agency of the people, even though they're celebrities. I'm like, it's still using their likeliness. So with this, I thought a little bit more, and it was just like, these were just videos that were sent in to this kind of archival corporation, but then you have to pay for the licensing and all the things like that, which was interesting to me, because it's like, do these people know? Like, did they send in their own images, or did somebody else find it? And it's just like an interesting process to find out through multiple sources who these people are, or who they might be, or what time period they lived in. So that's something I'm always trying to look for, but even though the information isn't always there, I wish it was. That way I could have more to talk about in my video, but sometimes it's not there. Sometimes it's just like, this is the 1950s, and that's it. That's all you know about the family.
Yes, interesting. So the audio, you said you had your parents do the audio.
Yes, I called them, and it took them forever, because they were kind of nervous. They were like, well, what are you gonna do with it? What is this about? And I was like, I just want to use your voice for a video. They were a little hesitant at first. But eventually they did it. I had to get my mom out of this kind of performance thing that she does, where she changes her voice into a whole nother, and I was like, that is not how you sound when you're talking to me. So I kind of had to redo it over with her. And I was like, Mom, it's just a conversation with Dad about your childhood. Like, you don't have to do this proper voice that you're doing. And finally it ended up being something that I really liked, and that they really liked, and they were just like, I want to keep this video forever. And I was like, I'm glad you like it, because a lot of the things that I make, they don't understand, or they just don't get into it. So I was really happy that they liked this one.
Nice.
So this piece will be shown at the 2020 Florida Biennial here at the Art and Culture Center in Hollywood, Florida. And that is opening up this Friday.
Oh, this Friday. Wonderful.
Yes. And I'm not sure if it's open to the public. I think they're just going to have a small reception for the artists. And then after that, it'll be by appointment. I hope, at least, I believe that's what the curator said, but anything is apt to change, so we'll see.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm glad that it may be open by appointment, because I think during the times we live in, that's a good way to proceed, to be safe. So, but I look forward to seeing it, since I didn't get to see it for your graduation. So I'm glad it will be out there.
No, yeah, I'm really glad that it has a home for a little bit, because it was just like outside taking up space, which I didn't mind, but I was just like, I wish people could see it, and I'm happy that at least somebody's going to see it.
Wonderful.
So the next piece that I'm going to talk about is Joy. This is a brand new piece, and it will be on display at the laundromat on Saturday.
Very
Right.
busy right now.
Yes. Which is not up on my website yet. I'll probably put it up the day of, because I don't want anyone to see it yet until the show. But these are stills from, once again, appropriated sources from YouTube, Kino Library, which I've reached out to them several times on YouTube, on their platform, on Twitter. They don't seem to say anything. And I was like, so I'll just, keep the logo and keep it up until they, don't want it up, or they say take it down, or they treat me like Mark Lucky, which is another inspiration, and just remove it. But this piece, I titled it Joy because I've been noticing when I submit my work, they seem to be looking for Black struggle. And I'm not sure why. I was just like, I don't always want to show struggle or a fight for equality and just basic human rights. Like, joy is a form of resistance as well, which is why I wanted to make this video, especially during this time. Everything is very heavy and I needed to make something light, and I feel like other people should see something light and fun and joyful. So with these stills, you have these two girls at a sports hall in New York in the 1980s. They're dancing, they're having fun. Everyone in the background is having fun and just having a really good time. And I was like, that needs to be shown too. Like, everything can't be turmoil and unhappiness and fighting for civil rights and death in the media. Like, I see it too much and I'm tired of seeing it. So I decided to make something that I would want to see on really bad days to make me happy, or to make someone else happy, or to share with someone else, to brighten their day.
I like that because I think right now we really need those moments, and it's good that you thought of that. I get overwhelmed sometimes and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to turn off the news and watch a TV that's kind of just lets my brain wander and not think about what's going on around us. So I'm glad you're doing this. It looks wonderful. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you. These are some more stills from Joy. And this is taken from Blood Orange's video, Dark and Handsome. And it's like a really smooth, mellow song, even though the song is not in my video. But there is music, which I will talk about later. But yeah, it's just people having fun and on the beach and running and having a good day and being carefree, which I think a lot of the time we don't get to have. So I just wanted to display that in this video. This is the first video that I've made that has, what is the word that I'm looking for? Current music. Mm-hmm. And I've been trying to manipulate that in a way that it kind of still sounds the same, but I really want to use it, but I don't want to get hit with a lawsuit or anything like that. But just like the videos, I'm going to use it until someone tells me to stop. And a good way to test that out is the first part, I manipulated the first song that you hear. And if you put it on Instagram, usually if you haven't manipulated it enough, they will take it down. And they didn't. So that was like a good kind of factor to see if it was working or not. The second song, I didn't manipulate it enough, and they were like, you need to take this down. So that's kind of my gauge for if I can use this or not, if it's appropriate, if it hasn't been manipulated enough. Also with some images in movies, like if it's, very like prominent or popular, they'll be like, you need to take this down. This is, you have copyright issues. And so far with with all of my videos, none of that has happened. so far. So I'm really happy about that. And then this piece will be shown at the laundromat. Here's the flyer. And that will be with some of the other cohort, Chris Friday, that has been at MBUS, Michael, Alex, all of us that collaborate together all the time.
That's wonderful. It was nice. I just happened to drop by the laundromat, and I saw you there. It was so nice to see everyone. It was like I've seen real people. We're not on Zoom, but it's titled Zoomed Out. So I love the title. What time is the opening? Is it at 7?
I think it starts at 6.
Oh, it's 6. Okay.
Until 9. So it's 3 hours.
Okay. Nice. And it's by appointment to go inside. There's social distancing. Okay.
Yes, you have to wear a mask, all of COVID safety precautions.
Good.
And it's going to be a projection outside. It's my first time doing that as well. So I hope it goes well. I hope it doesn't rain because you never know. You never know in South Florida. It could rain. It could be hot. It could be cool. It could be humid. You just never know. So I hope it goes well. And
how long is the video?
I'm trying to keep it under 10 minutes.
Okay.
Then I always find something. I was like, oh, that would be really beautiful. That would be really great. That goes with this part and that goes with this clip. So it's always changing. Sometimes I don't know when to leave things alone and just say you're finished. Because I always find something that's inspiring. It might be someone wearing a color, or it might be a song, or it might be someone's smile, or someone's face, or someone dancing. It could be anything. So with this, I'm going to try to keep it under 10 minutes or right at 10 minutes. I think 10 minutes is a good marker. I don't want it to be too long or too short.
Right.
Now, this is a piece that is still at MBUS. I know Jackie and Regina are probably going to get on to me for leaving it there for so long because it was a part of Chris Friday's exhibition that she curated. But this piece is called Black Girl, a Montage, and it really goes into my nostalgia, which is why I wanted to use VHS tapes and Barbie dolls and CRT TVs and all of that, because when I was little, I used to get all of my VHS tapes and my dolls, and we used to watch videos and TV together, and I just kind of wanted to reflect on that. But I also wanted to make a message because growing up, I saw myself, but also not enough in the media. It's just like if I'm watching Rugrats, Susie, the only Black girl or character on there, might be on that show or not. Or it's often the Black best friend trope, or just to the side, like they don't have a storyline. So I kind of pieced together all those important characters and figures from my childhood to kind of make a message, and like a positive message. Just live your life, be yourself. And you see like a lot of celebrities in this. You'll see Beyonce, Aaliyah, Lena Waithe, more current people like Megan Thee Stallion. You'll see Khalees, you'll see Whitney Houston in iconic films like Waiting to Exhale. So it was just kind of piecing together all those wonderful like Black women that I saw growing up, just to make this kind of message.
Is it Michelle Obama in it too? I thought. I don't remember. Yeah, I love this video. I remember just sitting there on the floor, because you make it a little uncomfortable because you have to sit there and really want to see it.
Yes.
So I sat there on the floor and just watch it over and over again. I just loved it. And I loved the way you had the Barbie dolls and the wall you made, the video wall. Yeah, it's wonderful work.
And I wanted it to be a little uncomfortable for possibly people that, are not Black, because it's just like, it kind of forces you to see like what we have to deal with in the beginning, and it seems like every time we try to elevate ourselves, here comes somebody. It's like, well, what about me? I was like, it's not about you. It's not against you, but it's not about you.
That's the
So,
great part about it. Yes. Yeah.
so I kind of wanted it to be like uncomfortable. And the VHS wall, is kind of just like that kind of barrier that you have to get to, which is why you have to go inside of it, because a lot of the tapes on there are very Eurocentric. Like the tapes that I found were always like white exercise videos to fit like a certain standard or a certain like look, which is why I place them around this. And it's like, this is kind of like this little barrier that you have to get to. But once you get in it and you find like your little space or something that's for you, like you'll never forget it, which is why I kind of wanted to use those videos and all those, and there are other videos in there, but a lot of them were just very like, I couldn't find anything that I really liked, other than like the kids movies like Beauty and the Beast or Babe, or things that we all kind of watched things that people in my generation watched when we were younger, before you realized what race was, or you had to check a certain box, which is why I decided to use the VHS tapes, other than that kind of element of nostalgia.
Yeah, and the wall also, it's actually very sturdy, but it was always fragile looking. I always thought it was going to fall over, but it never did. It was always very, you make it very strong and secure. Even when I think I was taking it down after we thought a hurricane was coming into the Washington Gallery. So I took it down, and it was really, I was like, wow, she really put this together while it wasn't coming apart when I was just taking them apart.
I know, and I didn't want them, this is going to sound crazy, but I didn't want them to, just to be stuck together. And at some point I was like, I hope someone knocks it down. Like I was like,
yeah.
because they're sturdy VHS tapes, but it's still a wall and a barrier, or represents a wall and a barrier that Black women and Black people, even though this is very like Black women centered, that you have to get through. So I was hoping at some point that somebody would knock it down, but no one ever knocks it down. And I was like, that would be great if someone.
I don't know. I would have had a heart attack, but that's funny that you wanted that.
I was just like, I feel like it's going to happen eventually, but then it never happened. So I think it would be a good representation of knocking that wall down. But of course, people treat it like art in a gallery, and they don't want to touch it or be near it, or just do anything to it. And I was like, actually, I hope someone knocks it down. It would be pretty funny and ironic and perfect for what it represents.
I'll remember that for next time.
Yeah, so like if someone knocks it down,
so much. Yeah.
And this is a still from the movie Waiting to Exhale. I included this for Black Girl Montage because it's the first opening scene, and they're talking about like celebrities and what you see on TV, and the woman on the right is trying to be like, like what you see on TV. And then Whitney is just like, is this what you always do? You always listen to the TV? And I felt like that was the perfect opening scene for me, because growing up, and even now, anybody with like, when you're trying to find your image or who you are, it's like you always look to some source of the media. Now there's a lot more, like with Facebook and Instagram and all of these things, but like for a while you kind of get who you want to look like from these celebrities and TV and things like that. So I felt like that was like the perfect opening statement for this piece. It's like, you can't get everything from TV. You can't emulate the people on TV. At some point, you have to figure out who you are, whatever that is, whoever that is, and be yourself, which is what the video was about. It was about coming into your own and being yourself.
I remember that scene, yep.
And then these are just pictures where it makes me happy when people actually sit on the floor and watch it, because it's uncomfortable. Also, like, anyone who wants to sit on the floor and look at it is it's kind of inspiring, because like I wish I had like a rug or a pillow or something, but the whole point is to kind of make people uncomfortable, if the message is not for you, which raises the question, why are you uncomfortable about it? So it's a lot of things. So this video was warming to me, even though Alex has seen it a lot. But for this guy to sit and look at it too, he was just like having a really good time. He was like, this is cool. Like, and just listening to him. And then I took a picture of him when I was like, hey, and he got up to just talk to me about it. And I really enjoy those moments when people get it or when they appreciate the work. And then here's different angles and views of it, of this piece. And now the Chautauqua residency.
I slaughtered the name Chautauqua. I slaughtered that. Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
Chautauqua.
Looking at it is a little intimidating, because it's like, how do you pronounce this? But then once you get it, you got it. So this is where I was supposed to be this summer, but unfortunately due to COVID, hopefully I'll get to go next year or the year after that. You never know what's going to happen with all of this, but we made it work. It was a lot of Zoom. It was a lot of frustration. It was tiring, but it was definitely worth it. And I thank everyone there, Alpesh, Sharon, all of the mentors, all of the staff and faculty, and anyone who helped, the galleries, the teachers. It was just a really amazing experience, because I got to explore in ceramics, something I have always shied away from. I don't really like ceramics. I had bad experiences with ceramic, so it was nice to kind of explore that without it being very technical and judgmental. So that's my cohort. I just wanted to show them off.
Oh, nice. So that was Sharon Loudon that was part of the, oh.
Yes.
Nice.
She is an art director of the whole thing, or the artistic director of everything. And she picked a really good cohort. She picked a really good group. We all pretty much got along, even though we didn't get to see each other in person, but even in class, everyone was really nice, really helpful. However they picked us, it was a really great group. And I also got to go with Alex and Michael. I think this was the first time that they ever picked 3 residents from the same school. So they were a little excited about that. I was like, oh, that's cool, but they were really excited about it.
And that's nice, because you all had worked together a lot. You had worked on several exhibitions, I know, from being part of Radcliffe, and you were part of Leeds with Alex, right? So you all were able to, you collaborated a lot. So that is nice that you all were able to do that.
Yes, it was really nice, because if I forgot something, somebody would call me. If they forgot something, I would call them. If we didn't know what was going on that day, it was nice to have somebody to talk to and be like, what is happening? Because things get lost in all the emails and all the chats and all the groups. So it's nice to have 2 other people there that you can relate to, that actually know you and know your work and can vouch for you, and that you can vouch for them. And you just have like a small support system there. So that was really nice to have. And while I was there, I think my favorite mentor was Rahele, because she really pushed us to express ourselves within clay, and not necessarily, make ceramics or make pottery. It's just like, well, what else can you do with that? What is the history of clay? What is, like, what kind of soil do you have in your area? What does that mean? Do you have access to it? And all of those questions that she posed to us just really made me think. So to the left is just like me playing with red Georgia clay that my dad had to send to me because I did not feel comfortable digging around for clay during COVID. And some of the clay that I did find was like in somebody's yard or some place. And I was like, I'm not going to dig there. So I had to ask my dad to
When
dig
was the
something for
residency?
me.
I'm sorry, when was the residency? When did it start and when did it end?
It started in August and ended in July. Yeah.
Okay,
Late August.
it started in
Yeah.
July and ended in August.
Oh, yes. Sorry. No, it started in June. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
had
so
this so
June.
bad.
Okay. Okay, so I just wanted to get a
Started
reference, like
late
where were we
June.
in the pandemic? We were surging probably in the summer. I'm just trying to reference that, right?
Sorry. It started in late June and ended in August. There we go.
Okay. Well,
Sorry.
that's nice
Always
that your
been.
dad sent you the clay. That's really wonderful.
Yeah, because I know clay is really abundant when it rains. You can see it just washing down the road. So it's not like you have to dig that deep for it. So I was like, thank you, Dad, for sending this to me. He's my helper always. So we just started talking about that. And then we made a collaboration where she dug the mud, I believe, for the plates that you can see. And then she sent them to us. Um, so I directly collaborated with her, and it just made me think of the labor process of her digging for the soil, or if she didn't, someone had to do it and sift it and make ceramics out of it. And then for it to be unglazed was perfect because it just made me create this next piece, which I'm going to talk about. So this is her plate. It's not glazed. Um, and so on the left it says, Rahale made this plate from soil dug and sifted from the earth, a process of labor that takes and gives, molds, forms, and materializes what the earth gives to us. So it was interesting to see, like, to take a little bit of something and then to make it into a tool, something very useful. And then naturally, as I was thinking about a plate, it made me think of food. And I was like, what is the relation to food to the plate? Then it's just like, how does that relate to my practice? Because my practice, is centered around Blackness and what that is and what the culture is. And so it made me think of this saying called out of the mud. And so out of the mud, or out the mud, is a phrase describing how to make something out of nothing. So like with the plate, you take the soil and then you sift it, and then you have to add water, and then you have to mold it, and it turns into something. But this phrase, it commends present perseverance from past struggles. And I was like, Rahale's plate is quite literally out of the mud from the earth, formed and molded into a tool of purpose and a tool of use. So because of plate and food, it made me think of soul food, food that was born and merged and converted out of slavery. So I was like, it was natural for me to think of food considering the plate in front of me, then to think of food that relates to me, my culture, my Black body, soul food, food that has historic ties to those kidnapped and sold into slavery, scraps that were made into some of today's modern delicacies, food that was made delicious with very little of nothing or very little of something. It says the plate, the literal, and the food, the metaphorical, out of the mud. So it was just interesting to think that a lot of the soul food places and delicacies that we have today were born out of that struggle, or as some people would say, it was born out of the mud, which is why I had to use a plate and the food in conjunction with each other. And then it was perfect because the plate was unglazed, and like once the food was gone, it left stains. So it was interesting to see the stains left on the plate after eating the food. These are stains that one normally wouldn't see, but because the plate was unglazed, the food left a print and kind of like a moment of remembrance. So it was like, it was an explorative project, something I wouldn't normally do, but it was interesting to see and take pictures of.
Very powerful. I really like that you were able to work on that collaboration with, is it Rala?
Rahale.
Rahale. I like this collaborative work that you did with her, and that you put a lot of writing into it and thought like that. I think all your work is very thoughtful anyway, but normally I don't think you write a lot about your artwork. Is that right?
No, and I should. Alpesh always encourages
I
us to
remember a
write about our
conversation
art.
that we had about that. Yeah.
Yes, and he's always challenging, like, he's like, you need to really mean what you say. You need to say it, like, not perfectly, but to the best of your ability. And with this, I feel like I had to write about it. I feel like, people wouldn't get it. And then I've included that exhibition that is up online. This is in the, I think, excerpts exhibition for Chautauqua. It has more writing on it. It describes like where the food came from and why it is the way it is today. And I've included the link at the end. So if you want to look at that too, because I was like, that's a lot to read. All of that was on the plate. I had like a little side note for each one. And I was just like,
Oh, wonderful. So we'll put your website up so people can go to your website, and if they want to look at the videos or look at more of this. So nice.
Thank you. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about fabric and textiles. I love fabric and I love embroidery, but I haven't been doing, and I should have, like, I've had all the time in the world to continue practicing with embroidery and fabrics, and it's so calming to me. But yeah, I haven't done anything because I've been kind of busy doing everything else. And then when I do everything else, I'm like, I don't want to see art for like a few weeks. I was like, I just don't like want to touch anything or see anything. So hopefully I'll pick that up soon. But these are a few of the pieces that I've done. I really haven't done that many, so I've done a few pieces to begin with. But this first piece was my first time taking Pip's class, and it was really fun. And it was partially fun because she taught us the techniques of how to do things, but then I also was like, I'm just gonna figure out how to do this myself. Thank you, Pip, with your thumbs up. I was like, I'm going to figure out how to do this myself and, make something different. So I bought a quilt and I stitched it and sewed it. And at first I didn't like it and I thought it was going to be awful. But then I was like, I kept looking at it and fixing it and doing all these things to it. And I ended up liking it. And
I just love it. Love it.
Thank you. And just called it Unbothered because it's cut fabric. It's not perfect, which is what I wanted. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people strive for this kind of perfection, and sometimes you forget to have fun. So that was just like one of the pieces that I had fun with, and that's why I called it Unbothered, because I think in art, people are always striving for something, and then also as a Black woman, you also have to fit into this mold of some kind of respectability or perfection. And with this, like, if you look closely, there are like stitches that are out, there are like pieces hanging off, there are cuts and little jabs and all these little imperfections in it, and it's okay to be imperfect, which is why I named it Unbothered. Like, it's okay to not look your best. It's okay if someone thinks your hair is unkempt. It's okay if you're still exploring in your art. So it had to do with all of those things. And then on the right, it was just like a little piece that I included. It doesn't have a title.
I was going to say, Pip says that that's what's cool about it, that it's not so finished. And she says is it the geese bend quilts are all real raw.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I just love this work. I mean, I love all your work, but I have a propensity for the fiber arts. So, but I remember every time I would walk by this, I would want to take a picture of it and put it on Instagram or Facebook. It was just so fantastic.
Oh, thank you. No, and I just, if I have any work that is up and someone wants to take pictures of it, like, I don't mind. I don't care. That's perfectly fine. So take all the pictures you want. But yeah, with that piece, was focusing. I was focusing on having fun. A lot of the other things or processes or techniques that you use, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be put together in some kind of way that is technical. And with that, it was just really fun to explore. It was really fun to mess up. And I think the fabric allowed that to have mess ups and fringes and all of those types of things, which is, I wasn't used to it, which is why I didn't like it. Because with graphic design, it's like, this needs to go here, this has to be this way, it needs to look a certain way, which is what I'm originally trained in. So with this, I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is gonna be terrible. People aren't gonna like it. Then I was just like, who cares if people don't like it? Like, you like it. And then the more I looked at it, the more it grew on me.
Yeah, I remember people emailing me or texting me from the gallery asking me, whose work is this? I just passed this quilt. Who did this?
Which is so funny to me, because I just really thought I thought people weren't gonna like it, and then people liked it. Which, I know that's not the goal of just an artist, for everyone to just like your work.
Right. But it spoke to people. It grabbed their attention and spoke to them.
Yes, and I was not anticipating that at all. So that was really interesting to me as an artist and as a person. I was just like, I should continue in this and see what happens or what doesn't happen, or my failures that lead to successes, like just all of those things. So I can't wait to pick up fabric again.
I like that your work is very high tech with the graphic design and the video, and then this work is very low tech or no tech. So I like that you have that extreme in your work.
Which is why it's comforting to me. Like, it's kind of like a release, because I don't have to be so high tech. I don't have to make these things connect. I don't have to I don't have to make it perfect in the sense that graphic design and videos, kind of need. So that's the fun part about it. I mean, I at the end of the day, I just think it's really fun, and it's really nice to just relax and do something with art.
Good. Keep it up. I look forward to seeing your next quilt embroidery.
Thank you. And then these are my ongoing illustrations. They will probably be forever ongoing, because the goal is to kind of allow other women or Black women or trans women see themselves. And that's why it's ongoing, because even though I've tried to include a lot of illustrations of Black women, there's still more to include. I was like, women with disabilities, trans women, women with different hairstyles and different cultures, which is why it's ongoing. I really appreciate when people look at it and they're like, oh, that looks like me. Or they see like an illustration with a girl with a gap, or a girl with a really big nose, or a girl that is like very dark skin. And I think it's kind of just like my ode and appreciation to Black women and people in my family. Like, there are just so many things growing up that I heard that just like wasn't okay. It's just like, don't go out in the sun, you're gonna get too dark. I'm like, what is too dark? Like, that is your skin, that's how you look. So that's what these illustrations are about, just to let a lot of people see themselves. I may not be able to always, get everybody or include everybody, but that's the goal. That's like what I hope I can do.
Wonderful. It's important to be inclusive with everyone. The art world has been very white for a long time, with white portraiture or wealthy people or royalty, or, so I'm glad that you're working in that genre. I think it's really important.
Yes, like this is like this piece I wanted to include someone with vitiligo. I have other pieces there on my website. I didn't want to show them all because I'm like, it's there. You can go check it out if you want to. But even in the Black community, there's also some exclusion too. Like if you go on the media, you'll see like, and well, then now it's becoming a little bit more inclusive, but still it's just like light-skinned Black women or racially ambiguous Black women that you see a lot more. It's changing, but still that's like the height of what you see. So I was just trying to, show different people like this illustration of a woman with vitiligo or this illustration of a woman with dark freckles. Sometimes you see people with like the really light freckles or like the really like just cute splattered freckles. Just trying to include and incorporate skin and hair and all those differences that we have is my goal for this work, which is why, like I said, it will forever be ongoing.
Nice.
And then these are just a few of them that I'm skipping through.
These are wonderful.
And then last but not least, I kind of wanted to talk about collaborations and networking. FIU has done a really good job with that. Even when it starts with my friends, and MBUS had, like all of you there have helped me a lot with being able to make shows or be a part of shows or create flyers or get with my friends and have shows together. And that's really important for students and artists in general. But when you're still a student, that's really important because you've allowed us to have the space to do so. Not saying that you should always wait for a space. Sometimes you just have to do it yourself. You're just gonna have to find things yourself. But it was really fortunate for us that we had the space and that you allowed us to use the space. And within that space, there have been lots of opportunities. So like Collective Journal, that show where I did an audio piece is where I met Eatsell. She just had an MBUS talk. I think it was the last MBUS talk, so I'm right after her. So when I met her here at this opening, she asked me would I want to, collaborate with them on Who Owns the Ether, Guerrilla Transmission #1. And it was a sound piece that was to be played on July 4th in kind of a resistance to patriarchy and the patriotism and nationalism, like white nationalism. And so it was very interesting. And so from there, one of my friends heard it because I had put it out there on Instagram. He played it, and his friend is making a video called Frolic, and they asked me to do the voiceover. So like, it's really important to collaborate and to be present in things because you never know what's going to come from it.
Well, I am very happy to hear that. I remember that audio that you had at MBUS. I loved it. Again, it was one of the rooms I would go in and just put on the headphones and listen for as long as I had a few minutes. I don't know how long it was. I don't think I ever heard the whole thing fully through, but I would just pop in and I would try to recognize the different voices of who was talking, but I loved it. And I'm glad you and Etzel, both very talented women, and now this is wonderful.
I know, and it was like a very short, just little snippet of my voice. And I was like, oh, this was really fun. I didn't know that anything else would come from it, which is why I was like, I think it's in, I'm sorry, that was my cat. But it's just really interesting how things flow together. And I really wanted to talk about that because that is how a lot of my opportunities have come, whether it's from my professors pushing me to do something or my friends being there. And I just wanted to end on that note and say thank you to all of you, because I wouldn't be talking about any of this work if I hadn't have met any of you on this live.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you, Carrington. Your work is so amazing. I'm so glad that you were able to, that you agreed to be part of the MBUS Art Talks. And I'm so happy that I got to be around your artwork and learn from you. And I look forward to seeing what else you're working on with the laundromat and the Florida Biennial. And I'm sure other projects will be coming up for you. So thank you very, very much. I just wanted to say I had a few comments. I wanted to share them. We're almost out of time. We had some people saying they loved the tower, the wall that you built.
Thank you.
Some people mentioned that. People are saying it was great to see you from some people are on Facebook, so they're watching you from Facebook, and they're saying great to see you, love your art. And I'm going to take off, everybody. If you would stop sharing your screen.
Oh, and the links to.
Oh, these are your links. Definitely show your links so everybody can, if they want to see your work. And then we also put your website on the chat so people can see your website. But we will. I wanted to take everyone off mute so they can say hi to you for a second. Now you're hearing my cat. I don't know if you hear her. So our cats are stealing the show here. Hold on. Let me take everybody off and unmute.
Hi, Carrington.
Hi.
That's great. Great presentation.
Thank you. I feel like I forgot to mention a lot of things.
No.
No, Pip. Cool. I like your weaving.
Yeah, I can't stand. I'm
Yeah.
attention deficit disorder.
Okay, multitasking is a good thing.
So if I do this, I can calm down.
Okay, I'm stressed out too. Tomorrow will be our big hurrah that we've been for 3.5.
Oh yeah, I'm
So we'll see how it goes
this
tomorrow.
is one ugly weaving that's just calming me down. That's all.
I'm glad you're doing that. Hey, Regina.
Hey, good to see you. What a great presentation. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Carrington is very talented. So
Yeah, very talented.
Carrington?
Yes.
It's Peggy. Hey. I put in the chat that you should check out the Archive of Modern Conflict.
Okay.
It's in the chat, and it's a huge collection of millions and millions of photographs. And artists can go there and do research and use the work.
Thank you. I copied it down.
Yeah, I'm not sure how, but there's been a whole lot of pretty famous books that have come out of that archive, and you can use anything that's in there.
Thank you. I appreciate that greatly.
Yeah, because that's that's where you're going. So.
yep. We look forward to seeing what you're up to next, Carrington. Keep up the good work.
Okay. Thank you.
So, everybody, we put a survey in if you don't mind filling it out. And also next week, Kim Moore will be part of our talk. So I hope you guys will say hi to her next week. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Carrington. I look forward to seeing you. Oh, hi.
Hey, Bert.
Good to see you.
Burke, we can't hear you.
Oh, he has to unmute. There you go.
Thank you. It was a beautiful talk, and my most favorite piece that I've never seen is your quilt. I love that quilt.
That's killer. Yeah.
It's killer. It's fabulous, and you did a lovely presentation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yep. It was really nice. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And Carrington, I look forward to talking to you soon.
I hope all of you are safe and have a good night.
Likewise. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.